Going for two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top end. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on, guys, and welcome to episode 218 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I am your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. We are live here every Wednesday night on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, syndicated in all major podcast networks, and streaming the Going For Two app for iOS and Android. I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Mr. Ryan Searfoss. What's up, Ryan?
Dude, we're one sleep away from football.
Yes, sir.
Like, I almost canceled the show just so I could go to sleep and get here sooner.
Yes, sir. Cannot wait. It's tomorrow. Tomorrow is the first game. Can't wait. All right, our guest tonight for week one is Joey, writer and rookie ranker for IDP Guys, also a writer for Dynasty Vipers and Rum Boys Fantasy. You can follow him on Twitter at Joey the Tooth IDP. What's up, Joey?
What's going on, fellas?
Not too much. First things up, I want you to explain your Twitter handle, Joey the Tooth IDP. Like, where does that come from?
All right, so it's actually kind of lame. But it's funny. It's stuck with me for my entire life. So I've had this childhood friend I've known literally my entire life. He's been my neighbor. And when we were in high school, we like to party a lot. So he got his own apartment as soon as he turned 18. So we were sitting on his couch one day, and we were feeling pretty good. And he looks at me and he says, "My God, man, you have got the smallest teeth possible. You have dolphin teeth. I'm calling you Joey the Tooth for the rest of your life." And I was just like...
It's stuck.
And it's stuck. And I was like, you know what? I'll take it. Whatever.
So it sounds like
smallest teeth possible.
It sounds like a character out of like a Guy Ritchie movie. You know, like you got Bullet Tooth Tony, Joey the Tooth. It's like
it does. Everybody always tells me like, what is this? Some sort of a mafia thing? I'm like, not even close.
That's 100% what I've always thought.
Yeah.
Nope, not at all. It's just a nice drunk night with a good friend of mine who just randomly blurted something out and it's stuck.
Good stuff. All right, so give my listeners a little bit about yourself, you know, what you do over IDP Guys and Dynasty Vipers and the whole nine.
All right, so Dynasty Vipers, I do a little bit of off-season content, mostly just strictly NFL, not fantasy content. At rumboys.net, I do a little bit of editing with them, just help out with their articles and stuff. With IDP Guys, I'm strictly them in season all season. So it's I'm the content manager there. I help get all the content created for the week. I got the calendar set up, make sure everybody gets their stuff in. I just finished my first year of IDP projections, so I have over 400 IDP projections this year. And we created a rankings tool that you can input your IDP scoring, and it actually changes the rankings based off of your scoring, because IDP, everybody changes their scoring. There's really no set scoring. So we come up with projections and come up with a tool that's for your scoring.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
So that was the first thing. That was the big off-season production this off-season. So this year is the first year it's live.
Good stuff.
Other than that, we got another thing coming up pretty soon. We're starting to get into the college content and the Devy content and the scouting content. So we just started taking a look at all the college games, and we're going to be doing some scouting throughout the entire season with a couple of guys on staff. And other than that, it's just I run a sleeper article every Saturday, IDP sleepers, and then just random other content throughout the week. But the goal is just to make sure everybody else has their stuff going.
Good stuff. Yeah, that's awesome. This is The first year for me in a while. So the very first league I ever played in was IDP. It was for the first like 5 or 6 years. We finally ended up killing it and going team defense. But this is the first year since then that I've been in an IDP league. It's actually our writers league. I had to add the IDP element because it's 20 teams. We wanted to make it as deep as possible, so we had to add the IDP element to get some more players in there. So I will be hitting up IDP guys in that tool you got there because I'm going to definitely need that.
I was one ticket away at the Expo from winning an autographed jersey, by the way, so a little better about it. You got the Urlacher jersey you guys gave away. I was one spot away. Mike Hicks won it.
Mike Hicks also from going for two. Yeah. He won it.
That's tough. That is tough. I know there was some good stuff. Somebody got a Darius Leonard signed jersey, but Urlacher, he's a legend.
He's a legend. Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hicks won that and Swift.
Yeah, Hicks won 2 of them. Yeah.
He had a good time, huh?
Yeah. He had a real good time.
Yeah, it's funny because I think he also won his spot into the Scott Fish Bowls, too. He's just a lucky guy. I need to get some pointers from him because he wins everything, it seems.
Yeah, let's bring him to Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we got a new segment we're going to do this year. Let me go ahead and hit the sounder, and then we'll get to it.
And now, the five 101s.
All right, it's pretty simple, Joey. We're going to give you 5 categories here, and you've got to give us your 101 in each category. The first one here is comedy movie. What's your 101 comedy movie?
The Big Lebowski.
Nice.
Love that movie. I could watch that movie any day.
It seems to always be on TV, too. Whenever I seem to turn on TV and I'm randomly flipping, it just seems to always be on.
Right, and it's tough, though, when it's on TV because there's so much edited out.
Yeah.
His mouth's so foul, but John Goodman's character in that movie kills me. Absolutely kills me. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely a good choice for a 101 for sure.
Yep.
All right, what about your 101 for childhood cartoon? This might sort of put an age on you here.
Transformers cartoon.
Nice. That's probably my 101 as well.
My favorite movie growing up was actually the cartoon Transformers movie. That movie was, I used to go to the video store when there was video stores, and I used to go there like once every other week, and I would rent that movie just so I could watch it.
Yes, that was one of my favorites as well. I think that'd probably be my 101. I think I owned like a bazillion Transformers when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
It's back when they were metal and they were sturdy. They weren't this cheap plastic thing that they do now that break after a little while. They were like
how do
really...
you expect you to have something to transform that's plastic?
Exactly. All right, your 101 adult beverage. So we go from childhood cartoon to adult beverage here. What's your 101 adult beverage?
It was actually the signature cocktail at my wife and I's wedding. It's dark and stormy. So it's dark rum, lime juice, and ginger beer.
Nice.
Delicious.
That sounds good. I like ginger beer in some of my adult drinks as well.
Yep.
All right, what's your...
Try this.
What was that, Ryan?
I want to try this.
Yeah, and it sounds good. It does.
Very good.
All right, we got 2 more here. What is your dream car or truck if you can own any car or truck that you can?
All right, so my favorite vehicle growing up was like a 1970 to 72 Chevy C10 pickup because I watched the movie Dazed and Confused, and I thought that truck was nasty. I actually just recently, 4 years ago, picked one up.
Nice.
So I got a 71 C10, so I kind of own my dream truck, so I'll throw another one in there, a 49 Plymouth Woody.
Oof.
If you ever see one of those things are freaking cool as anything.
I'm going to have to Google that one because that's not one I know. That's not one of the ones that would have been on my list because I have no idea what it even looks like.
They're incredibly random. They're pretty rare, but it's nothing like that'll blow your mind. It's just cool as heck, man.
Yeah, I just looked it up. That thing's incredible.
Right?
Good stuff.
I just cruise in it.
All right, and last one with the games this weekend. What is your 101 game day food?
Smoked ribs.
Oof.
I got a little smoker. Just throw them on first thing in the morning. Just let them go up till 1 o'clock. And
good stuff. Yeah, smoked ribs definitely on my list as well. I don't have as much time. I actually work a lot of Sundays, but when I do, smoked ribs is definitely something that I would love to have.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get down to business.
News and notes from around the league.
News and notes, as always, brought to you by the Dynasty Trade Calculator. Everyone hates bad trade offers, right? No one wants to be that guy. Never make a bad offer again with the Dynasty Trade Calculator. Visit goingfor2.com/DTC to sign up for only $15 a year. That's right. All you do is go to goingfor2.com/DTC. Get the best trade calculator for $15. Stop guessing, start calculating. All right, so we got tons and tons of news to talk about. Some of them are just injury type news that I want to get some reaction to. The first one is the big one that we kind of been following all off season here. Saquon Barkley likely to play week 1, but may not have a full workload. I think there's no chance you're not starting Saquon Barkley in week 1. But Ryan, I want to ask you, let's just hypothetically say he goes out and has a really big game week 1. Are you looking to sell him, or you think you can use him all year?
If he has a big, I'm not playing on some at all. But like, if he has a big game week 1, yeah, cool, sell him. But it's Saquon Barkley. He has a chance of having the same type of numbers as we see a CMC have. We've seen him with 2,000 scrimmage yards about 2 years ago. Like, if he has a good week 1, I know he's healthy and I made the right decision.
So I'm
not moving him.
Not worried about it lingering into the season and him slowing down a little bit. You're just going to be all in on him.
I'm all in. Hopefully they give him less of a workload, like they say, so he doesn't break down.
Yeah.
But even with less of a workload, he could be 1,600 yards from scrimmage and double-digit touchdowns. Like, he's that versatile. He doesn't need 30 touches a game. So, yeah, if he looks healthy, I'm stoked, and there's zero chance I'm moving him.
All right, let's flip the script here for you, Joey. Let's say he doesn't look good in week 1. Are you nervous as an owner? Are you looking to move out of him, or are you just going to hold still and see what happens?
I'm still going to hold on him just because he is Saquon Barkley. I mean, like you said, 2 years ago he was the RB1, and he missed 1 year. So, I mean, I'm not too worried about Saquon Barkley. I think he'll come back. If he can come back healthy, he's a top 3 running back. But I'm not going to be worried after 1 week because they said they're going to give him a little bit of a limited workload. So I'm not going to sweat after week 1. And I really don't want to sell him unless he starts to break down after like 2-3 games. He just doesn't look like the same person. I might think about it, but your window's pretty much shot there anyway. So his value right now, if he has a bad game, it's just low. So you're better off just holding.
Yeah, it is what it is. I think you're holding either way, whether he has a good game or a bad game. Right. You're pretty much either you're going to sell him low, which you don't really want to do that either. You probably paid top dollar for him, so you don't want to sell low on him. Sticking with the running backs here, this news just broke right before we came on here, but Austin Eckler with a hammy missed practice today. This is the guy that continues to deal with injuries. Joey, I'm going to go to you first on just the injury to Eckler in general, and does it scare you? And then who do you think the next running back up is?
It does scare me just because he has an injury history. I mean, no drastic injuries, but he has nagging injuries all the time where he misses games here and there, so it does worry me a little bit that it just kind of popped up on a Wednesday. Like, midweek injuries are never good.
Never good.
Next back up, they say it's Justin Jackson, which, Joshua Kelly really underperformed last year, and he didn't look great, and he started losing touches, to Kalen Ballage last year. So I think he's got to go, and I think after him it's going to be Larry Roundtree. So if Eckler can't go, I think it's going to be Jackson and Roundtree, but I mean, I'm not really too excited over anybody there, to be honest, outside of Eckler.
Yeah, I was going to ask Ryan. So Roundtree potentially, Justin Jackson potentially. How much, if you're spending fab on one of those guys, if you're the Eckler owner, how much are you going in on that one, percentage wise?
I'm not going much in any of them. I think if Eckler goes out, we have a full blown committee, and I'm not going to go more than 5 or 10% in all reality. Because 1, we don't know who it's going to be. 2, we don't know how long Eckler's going to be in and out of the lineup. And if he's battling, he's questionable every week, we don't have to do with these guys either, so it kind of puts you in bind. So I'm not spending much, and this offense is leaning to being really pass-heavy if he goes out with those receivers and Herbert. Like, they're going to let him sling it a little bit. I'm just not. I don't really want that running game if he's out. And I'm probably trying to move on from Eckler because it is kind of worrying me.
Yeah, agreed 100%. Yeah, I think that will be a passing offense, and of course Eckler can benefit from that passing game if he's healthy. I don't know if the running backs that are behind him benefit as much as he does in that passing game, and I don't think the running game is going to be quite as good without him being there. So I think I agree with both of you on that one. Next one up is the reports have rookie Nico Collins as the number 2 in Texan. That is the Texans' number 2 receiver, not Chris Conley, who we all thought. I mean, I know this offense isn't going to be great, but if you're really desperate for a receiver, are you interested at all in Nico Collins, Ryan?
I mean, I'll have him as a whole. I prefer much more Dynasty for when they get a real quarterback or an offensive line or any other weapons. But, no, I like him there. He's never going to be more than a DFS player, wide receiver 4, just because how bad that offense is. So for this season, if I get him, cool. And if he has a big game, I'm probably going to try to move him. But I really love the long-term potential on him. I just think we might be a year too early.
All right. What about your thoughts on Nico Collins there, Joey?
I mean, he could have some potentially decent value this year if he's their honest number 2 guy. I mean, that team's going to be down every single game, so there's probably going to be some decent passing volume. So, I mean, the only other person who's really fighting for targets there is Brandon Cooks. I mean, they don't have a good tight end. They don't have any other decent receivers. So, I mean, there's the potential for some volume.
Yeah.
It's a bad team.
It is a terrible team.
Very bad team.
This might be one of the worst rosters, top to bottom, I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. And you saw it start to happen, like the Bill O'Brien era. It was just like it started just going down and down. Like, somebody's got to turn this around, and then it just didn't turn around. It just got worse. Worse.
Yeah. Yeah, if they had Deshaun Watson there, it wouldn't be as bad. But now with the Deshaun Watson situation, I mean, this roster is brutal.
I mean, Tyrod Taylor is not, like, absolutely terrible, but, I mean, the team in general is just horrible.
Yep.
What, Mark Ingram, David Johnson, Phillip Lindsay are your running backs. It's
like, not good.
Sure.
There's not a whole lot that I want to play. Exactly. There's not a whole lot I want to play in that offense for sure.
Right.
I think I'll be streaming defenses against that offense for sure.
Right.
All right, the next one's not really a note. I'm just going to kind of get your idea on expectations. But Dak is a full go for week 1. Ryan, what's your expectations for Dak this year? I know you did projections and all that. Are you expecting him to be what he was last year for the first 6 games, whatever it was last year, or what do you think from him?
If Dak's healthy, Dak's good, man. Like, he's consistently gives you a floor. He has some of the best weapons in the league. Yeah, the line's not as great as it was, but with those receivers and Zeke, wheels go. He's a top 6 quarterback, and it's no hesitation. I hate this week. If I had another option, I probably still wouldn't, but unless it's really good. But he's pretty much wheels up. He's going to have to throw a ton against Tampa. That's going to be a shootout.
Yeah, I agree with that. What about you, Joey? What's your thoughts on Dak?
I'm a big fan of Dak. I mean, his numbers in the first few games last year were unreal. And now you have CeeDee Lamb, who's got a full year under his belt and an actual offseason. Murray Cooper, Michael Gallup, Blake Jarwin, if he comes back and he can be productive. I mean, he's got weapons all over the place. And Zeke, of course. If Zeke can keep his head in the game and not be a complete idiot. I mean, he's totally nuts. But if he can keep his head in the game and he can play, I mean, that team is full of weapons, so I'm in on Dak.
Yeah, I agree. I think everybody's kind of worried about that shoulder and will it act up, during the season. It's something to monitor, obviously, but if he's a full go for week 1, we can only expect that he's going to stay healthy for the entire year. So, Dak definitely is in that top 6 quarterbacks this year, I believe. All right, Ryan, I'm going to go to you on this one because this one got kind of ugly there. With the Ravens backfield, obviously you lost Dobbins, you lost Justice Hill, who I think they just waived him. He's now on IR, obviously. Now Gus Edwards is your number 1 back, and Tyron Williams is the backup there. And they just signed Le'Veon Bell to the practice squad. How do you think this backfield shakes out? We know Gus Edwards doesn't catch passes. I think he has got 18 career passes or catches his entire career. But at the same time, Ravens don't throw to the backs very often. So what are your thoughts on how this backfield shakes out?
Yeah, I think that any hope we had this year of them passing to the running backs more kind of went out the window with Dobbins. Like, it's going to lead to more Lamar runs in those situations where you dump off to the running back, which fantasy-wise is great for Lamar. Health-wise, not as much. Gus is going to get 20-plus carries a game. Like, it may not be top 12, but if it would, it'd be the way David Montgomery got there, where he just beat teams into oblivion with just running it and getting a ton of red zone opportunities. Because this team's gonna get it. They run a ton in the red zone. and Gus is going to get all those carries because he's 250 pounds. He could legitimately have a really good year, and the floor's there.
Yep.
And then Tyson Williams is number 2. Lev Bell is on the practice squad, and they signed Trenton Cannon today after that, and he made the team ahead of Lev Bell because he plays special teams.
There you go. Yeah, Bell wouldn't do special teams, that's for sure. So let me go to you, Joey, on this one. What are your thoughts on this backfield here? Any chance that Tyson Williams has value? I mean, last year we saw 2 running backs in that backfield have value. Do you think Tyson Williams has standalone value if Gus Edwards stays healthy?
I want to say yes because you saw what Gus Edwards did, but Gus Edwards is a better backup than most, and I think this is actually going to lead to more Lamar Jackson runs. I think this is going to be, especially with all the receiver injuries, I think this is going to be a very college type of offense, a lot of read option. I think you're going to see a lot of that from Lamar Jackson, and I'd love to see Gus Edwards get some volume this year because he's averaged like the past few years, he averaged like 5.5 yards per carry.
Yep.
Yeah.
700 yards last 2 years.
Yeah,
right.
as
so
the backup.
If he actually gets volume, I mean, he could have a huge year.
Yep. I think
weirdly, I'll say it sounds weird. I wouldn't put Latavius Murray out of the picture for them signing him.
it's funny.
Even though they just made that
great
signings
signing
today. He said he wants to come. He named Baltimore as a landing spot already.
I think that would be great for them, to be honest. If they
Yeah.
had Murray and Edwards as a 1-2 punch, then you could say, yeah, I would give Murray standalone right away, honestly.
Yep.
Yeah, they can just
score.
rotate. Yep, they do the same thing, except
Right.
for Murray can catch the ball a little bit better.
Right.
Yeah, I've got J.K. Dobbins in my Scott Fishbowl league, and I had Latavius Murray as well. I also had Alvin Kamara. I didn't drop Murray. I'm holding on to Murray, hoping he ends up somewhere. So if he goes to Baltimore, it would probably be the best situation. I think Baltimore and possibly Atlanta would be another place that I wouldn't mind seeing him go because Atlanta only has Mike Davis and then nobody.
Or Buffalo.
Right.
Buffalo's a good option as well. Yep, that's right. All right, 2 more running back notes here. Both of these guys have been cleared to play week 1. Just to kind of an outlook on these guys for the season. Both of them have been kind of banged up a little bit. DeAndre Swift and CEH. What's your season outlook for these 2 guys? And do you think we can deal with these injuries all season long, Joey?
I don't think so, especially not CH. I think he just had a low ankle sprain, nothing really too worried about there. And he's on a fantastic offense with an improved offensive line. I bought a lot of Clyde Edwards-Helaire this year just because I'm hoping he has I mean, it's not like he really had a down year last year. He had over 1,000 yards. I mean, as a rookie, that's pretty darn good. But everybody's so down on him because the hype was so high last year. So you go in and possibly the best offense in the league with an upgraded offensive line. I think he's in for a really big season. Swift, I'm a little worried about. Not so much injury-wise. I mean, the injury sucks because he's missed time now, but the additions of Jamal Williams and the fact that offense is just not going to be good. Teams are going to key in on Swift and they're going to key in on Hawkinson. I mean, you don't have to worry about anybody else on the Lions, and you don't have to worry about Jared Goff beating you. So you key in on Hawkinson, you key in on Swift, and then you try to take them out of the game and make them beat you with somebody else. So his dynasty outlook, I'm still in on Swift, but for redraft, I think I'm going to let him slide. I don't. His price tag's too high for me in redraft.
Yeah, I think if it wasn't for the Houston Texans, we'd be talking about the Lions being the worst team in the league. But I think, Lions at least have Hawkinson and Swift, if he stays healthy, is really good. Houston doesn't have either one of those guys. Ryan, I want your thoughts, because I know you were a big Swift guy, and you probably still are. What are your thoughts with that injury, and then your thoughts on CEH as well?
So, CEH I love. He's my RB 11, and nothing's changing injury-wise. I'm really comfortable with him there. I think he's going to get it week in, week out. There's no real worries. He doesn't have competition. Swift's going to be somewhere between 13 and 16, depending on my mood any given week. Yeah, I agree with everything Joey said. They're going to key on those 2 guys. But I'm hoping they're going to be playing from behind a lot, and he's going to catch a lot of dump-offs and late-game PPR points. I'm going to have him higher in PPR than in Standard. In Standard, which I don't really play, he's dropping or down, but he's going to catch a lot of passes.
Yeah.
He was averaging 4 or 5 a game last year, and that was splitting time completely. He's going to get the ball thrown to him a lot, and Goff is a quarterback who tends to do that. So I think it's still good for him. So full PPR, I still have him up there because I trust that.
Yeah.
And running back starting to get beat up.
Yeah, good point. We have a question in the chat real quick, and Joey, I'll ask this one to you first. If Eckler's hammy is still bothering him, is Trey Sermon a worthy pivot? His roster, he also has Mixon and Gainwell. But would you be comfortable with Sermon as your replacement for Eckler if you had that option?
I mean, with what's left on your roster, sure. I mean, I definitely play him over anybody else in your roster. And I think Sermon will get some touches. I think it might take a little bit for him to get into it because if Mostert's healthy, I don't think Shanahan's the kind of guy that's just going to feed and feed and feed until Mostert gets injured. But he also likes to do 3 running backs at a time. So if Sermon plays well, he's going to get some carries. So he could probably have like a 10 carry, I would say 10 to 12 carries a game. So I'm okay with that.
Let me ask you, Ryan, Trey Sermon, or if you could get Justin Jackson, which would you prefer to start out of those two?
Trey Sermon.
Trey Sermon. So
yeah, even if Jackson's getting the work, I'd rather have Sermon. That offense is good for running back. And like he said, it's probably 10 to 12 carries. We honestly don't know if Justin Jackson would get that.
Right.
If Eckler's out.
So my thing with Sermon is like I love the way Shanahan drafts. So Shanahan always drafts late running backs, right? He makes late running backs look good. Trey Sermon's the guy he actually traded up for.
Yep.
Draft running backs high, so he trades up in the third to get Sermon. So it's a guy that knows his system, runs the outside zone, and it's his guy. So I think Shanahan, he's gonna give Sermon the opportunity to prove him right. I think he's got Shanahan has a lot of pride.
Yeah.
And he likes to make sure that people know that he made the right choice.
Pride is a nice word. Pride's a nice word. He has an ego.
I was going to say ego's more like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely does.
So Sermon will get his fair share.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's Sermon for me. I mean, not just because I'm a 49ers fan, but I do think Sermon, even 10 to 12 carries in that offense, assuming that, week 1 is the Lions, I think he'll be fine with 10 to 12 carries. I think he's going to do just fine. If it's the long-term injury, maybe you're a little bit worried about starting Sermon long-term because if Mostert, it's going to be the hot hand approach. I don't know if Sermon's going to be the 10 to 12 carry guy every single game, but yeah, I do think that he's, as far as what you have in your roster, he's your best option for sure.
I mean, especially like if they're going to beat the shit out of Detroit as they should, they're going to give it to that big hammer of running back in the second half. Beat the clock away, and guess what? That's Trey Sermon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like
I think Sermon's going to be that.
That's good for him.
I think he's going to be the goal line back too.
Yeah. Yeah. He'll be the closer.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed. The last one we kind of touched on a little bit already. I just want to get your thoughts on the release of Latavius Murray, but more in the fact that now Tony Jones is behind him. Latavius Murray always had standalone value. Do we expect that Jones has now standalone value, Ryan?
I guess so, but I'm not as comfortable with it. Like, we only know what we saw in the preseason. Like, no, in all reality, most people didn't scout him or really heard of him before this preseason just because he was that low in the pecking order. So we really don't know with him. I'm only comfortable with Kamara. He's worth that waiver throw and that waiver ad just in case. But I'm not going to start him for 2 or 3 weeks till I know how they're going to use him. I'm going to play pretty cautious.
What about you, Joey? What are your thoughts on Tony Jones?
I think the cautious approach is the right way. I mean, with Latavius Murray, when he went to New Orleans, I mean, he had already had a 1,000-yard rushing season prior to New Orleans. I mean, he had, I think, 900 yards in Minnesota, and he had 1,000 in Oakland when they were Oakland. I think they were still Oakland then.
Yep.
So he had previous success, and then Tony Jones comes in. He's just an undrafted rookie that looked better in preseason this year. So it's like he won the job, but he saw 5 carries all last year, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take the wait and see approach and see if they feed him like they feed Latavius Murray, or if it's gonna be a heavy load of Kamara.
Yeah, I think it came down to money. I think they offered Latavius Murray a price decrease or a pay rate decrease, and he didn't want to take it. So they're like, all right, we got this cheap guy that we got undrafted, looked pretty good in the preseason. We'll see you later. So, yeah, I think it's a wait and see for me as well. I think that offense is going to be totally different than what it was when Drew Brees was there. So we have no idea how it's going to shake out. So I'm in the wait and see approach as well. All right, guys. Today's show is brought to you by ThriveFantasy.com. It's DFS meets prop bets. Visit ThriveFantasy.com or get the app for iOS or Android. Use our promo code Armchair and get an instant match up to $50. Choose your 10 favorite prop bets to build your DFS lineup. Compete against the rest of the field for cash prizes. Again, visit ThriveFantasy.com. Get the app for iOS or Android. Use promo code Armchair and receive your instant match.
Going for Two Live and PlayPickup.com present the Pickup Props of the Week.
All right, for those that are fans of the Going for Two website and our writers, you may have noticed inserted into a lot of our articles has been play pickup prop bets. It's a pretty cool thing. It's basically you go in there and you're going to vote, inside an article, you're going to vote on different prop bets, what you think is going to happen. And then if you're right, you get points, and those points can then be traded in for swag. You can get, a gift card to Fanatics and all this cool stuff. So really, you read the article, you look at the prop bet, you bet on it, you hope you're right, and then you win points and can win free stuff. So check that out. Pretty much in all our articles now, we're going to have these in there, and then we're going to have this segment every week. We're going to go through five of them. There's a companion article on the website if you wanted to follow along with us. But the 5 prop bets we have this week are all in relationship to week 1. So, Ryan, I'm going to go to you first on this first one here. Will Christian McCaffrey lead all running backs in rushing yards week 1? And it's just a yes or no question.
No.
Go on.
Rushing yards is a little bit different. If it was all-purpose, maybe.
Yeah,
but
that's the caveat.
You have Derrick Henry go against a pretty bad Arizona defense. You have Dalvin Cook in a really good matchup. And these are guys who are going to get 20, 30 carries and get that volume needed to be that. So I think it's fairly easy no.
Yeah, I think I'm with you too. What about you, Joey? What are your thoughts there? Are you going with the same thing?
Yeah, I'm going no. I mean, James Robinson's playing Houston.
Yeah, good
he
point.
Might go for 200.
Good
Yeah,
point.
he gets volume anyway when he last year. So playing Houston, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the field agrees with us. It's 79% also took a no on that one, that CMC will not lead running backs in week 1. Next one's a little bit tougher. 25.5 completions is the over-under for Justin Herbert for week 1. So 25.5 completions, Ryan. Are you going over or under for Justin Herbert?
Ooh. I think I'm going to go over. I think last year he had it on a little bit of a down note. And they're going a lot of times they have a young quarterback. They're going to try to prove it that week 1. Let him sling a little bit. Austin Eckler's out. He might have to sling a little bit more. So I'm going to take the over on that.
All right, Ryan is going over. What about you, Joey? Over, under 25.5 completions for Justin Herbert.
I'm actually going to take the under because they're playing Washington, and I think Washington has potentially one of the best defenses in the NFL. And that secondary last year was, I believe, top 5. So, I mean, I'm all in on Washington's D this year, and I'm trying to kind of stay away from them.
Yeah,
so I'm going under 25.5.
I think I'm taking the under as well, and it's in addition to that defense, it's also a 1 o'clock East Coast game. So the Chargers are flying all the way east at 1 o'clock, which tends to have teams starting off slow. It doesn't affect them too much, but they do start off a little bit slower than normal. So I'm going to go under as well. The field, though, agrees with Ryan. They're all going over. It's a 60-40 split there with the over.
Not the only idiot.
Yeah. So, yeah, 60% takes the over on that one. The next one here I added just for Ryan. Rush and pass yards added together for Lamar Jackson week 1. Over under 324.5 yards. So rushing and passing combined, Ryan, for Lamar Jackson, 324.5.
I think it's going to be under. I think they're gonna kind of beat the bricks off of Vegas, and they're gonna run the ball a lot in the second half.
All right, it's going under 324.5. What about you, Joey?
I was going over because I actually think 100 rushing yards is something that he could have potentially in week 1 without Dobbins. Like I was saying, I think they're going to do a lot of read option with him. So I think 100 rushing yards, and then you only need 220 catch from there. But
I'm more worried about that's the portion I'm more worried about.
The passing yard. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a heavy dose of Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
I mean, who do the Raiders have to cover Mark Andrews?
That's it. Yeah.
Or to cover anybody.
Right.
Like, they're not
Their
great.
secondary and their linebacker group is just hideous. That defense is not great. So Mark Andrews will probably eat the middle of that field.
Yeah, I think they're going to blow them out. I really do. Garrison, their new stadium. Sorry, Garrison.
I think they should.
I know you're watching Garrison. I apologize.
He's a Raiders fan.
My brother's a Raiders fan, so
Nice.
sorry, bro.
All right. Looks like I'm taking the over as well. I'm with Joey. I do think that Lamar Jackson gets 100-plus rushing yards and then doesn't have to do much in the passing game to get to that 324. It'll be close, though. I think this is a really close one, and it was pretty close on the bet here, too. It's 68% to 32%, so pretty close there, but they're all taking the over. Next one we got is a rookie quarterback. So this one's going to be a little bit tougher because we haven't seen this guy play in a real-life game just yet. But Mac Jones, over under 2.5 total touchdowns. So that's total touchdowns. So you could rush for one, and that would count. So, Ryan, over under 2.5 total touchdowns for Mac Jones.
I'm going to go under. Dolphins' defense is pretty damn good. And, like I said, they're not... You mentioned the rushing. I don't think they're going to rush with him. He's not those athletic guys. So 3 passing touchdowns. I mean, he's real unathletic. I've seen that cigar picture. But
Truffle shuffle.
Throwing three touchdowns against a good defense with a coach who's smart enough to protect a rookie quarterback and have him not make stupid decisions. I'm going to go under.
All right. What about you, Joey? Over under 2.5 for Mac Jones in week 1.
Yeah, I'm going under as well. I think they're going to do a heavy dose of the running game with Harris and Stevenson. And I don't really like the fact that Mac Jones' first professional game is going to be thrown at Xavier Howard and Byron Jones.
Yeah, it's not really the best. Yeah,
disaster.
That is true. And the field agrees with us. I'm going under as well. It's a 72% going under with Mac Jones at 2.5 touchdowns. Last one here, we talked about him already a little bit. DeAndre Swift's yards from scrimmage. So obviously rushing and receiving yards. Over under 110.5, Ryan. Which one are you going here with DeAndre Swift playing against the 49ers?
I think I'm going under. 49ers have a lot of speed at the linebacker position. You guys pretty stout against the run. I'm going to take the under on that. They're not going to let the best player beat them.
Yeah, I like that. What about you, Joey?
Yeah, I'm going to take the under as well. Fred Warner is going to be that guy that's going to watch Swift out of the backfield. So even if he does get receptions, I mean, 1 yards here, he's not going to let him get too far.
Yeah.
No.
Yep, I agree. I'm going under as well. And the field also went under with an 80-20 split on that one. So Swift under 110.5 yards. All right, good stuff. We got another new segment that we're going to check out here. And this one's going to be a little interesting here. Ryan had to do some homework this time on this one.
Let's play Devil's Advocate.
All right, Devil's Advocate is exactly what it is. So before the show, I asked Joey to give me 3 guys that he's higher on than most of the people out there for week 1. So he has his 3 guys. He's going to get a chance to give his stance on why he likes these guys. And then Ryan's going to play Devil's Advocate to try to tear that down. So the first one you have on your list here, Joey, is Mr. Sterling Shepard for week 1. So tell us why you like him so much.
All right, so looking at Sterling Shepard, I'll look back last year with Daniel Jones. He had a 73.3% catch rate, which was the highest of his career. He's finally healthy. Apparently, he's been absolutely killing it in camp. Like he's looking at as their number 1 receiver. Kenny Galladay still nursing a hamstring issue, and he can't separate anyway. So you got a guy with a bad hamstring that can't separate. He's not going to get any looks. And with that pass rush coming at him with Von Miller and Bradley Chubb from the Broncos, Daniel Jones is going to have to get rid of the ball quick. So Sterling Shepard's going to be that guy in the slot who's going to get open quick. He's got pretty good hands. I just think Sterling Shepard's in for a nice line week 1.
Yeah, that's a lot of good stats there. We actually lost connection there for a little bit, but I think we got most of what you said. We lost connection, and unfortunately the feed got split. So hopefully, Ryan, you were able to hear everything he said. So you're playing devil's advocate here. So tell me why you would not play Sterling Shepard this week.
With someone like Shepard, what's like your definition of a good week for him? Like, I think that's a big part of the question.
So I would say like 7 receptions for 80 yards and a touchdown.
So like 12 to 15 points?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a floor play. Like, he's more of a floor guy for me. I think he's going to be that 8 to 10 range, a little bit under that, so it's not completely, like, against it. But Galladay's still going to be out there. He's going to force some targets. We have no idea what this offense is going to look like. They were hyping up Kadarius Toney, actually today, talking about how they want to force feed him the ball, give him the ball in space. And if you mentioned about the slot thing with Sterling Shepard, somebody like Toney, that's where his skill set thrives as well in the slot. His run after the catch is top of the line. I think that's going to dig into it and hurt him a little bit. Slayton's still a little bit of a menace. I just don't know how they're going to spread the ball out, and I don't know if they're going to be passing as much as effectively against Denver. Plus, we have Barkley now getting targets as well. It's a lot to figure out, so I'm just not there with him yet.
All right, I like it. Good, 2 good points there. I like Sterling Shepard. I do think from where you probably drafted him, and if you're going to be playing him, probably as your receiver 3 or maybe even a flex spot, I do think that he can have a pretty good game there. I think Shepard is the familiar thing for Daniel Jones, so I think I'm with Joey on that one. The next one we got here, and this is a good one because Ryan loves this guy, sarcastically, Mr. Mike Gesicki. So tell us why you like Mike Gesicki, Joey.
All right, so first off, he's an athletic freak. He's at a 90th percentile in the SPARQ score, 95th percentile in the 40-yard dash, 96th in speed score, 99th percentile in burst score, agility, and 100th percentile in catch radius. So he's a big target. He was the tight end, I believe, 7 or 8 last year, and he's the guy that he doesn't block for you. So he played 62.9% of snaps last season. Number 2 overall of all tight ends in the league in playing in the slot. He ran around on 82% of his snaps. He had a 23.4% red zone target share last year. Of all tight ends in the NFL, he was 3rd in air yards, 2nd in target distance, 3rd most deep targets, and the 4th most receiving yards. And in the last 4 games with Tua, he had 34 targets of his 85 targets all season. So in the last 4 games, he had 34 targets for 254 yards and 3 TDs.
Ooh, that's pretty good numbers there.
He's obviously Tua's obviously comfortable with him, and he showed this preseason he's comfortable with him. I mean, he hit him for six receptions for 100 yards and a TD this offseason. And a lot of people said the added weapons of Will Fuller and Jalen Waddle is going to affect Gesicki negatively. Sure, it will a little bit, but at the same time, it's going to open things up for him because Gesicki he can just dominate the seam now. It's all those on the outside. It's just going to open up the middle for him. So I think him being Tua's comfortable target, because Tua's going to want to get into a rhythm this year because last year was a little tough for him. It was back and forth. So I think Gesicki is in for a big season, and even week 1, Tua's going to want to get into a rhythm. I know New England's historically good against tight ends, but this New England team is also different than the New England teams we've seen in the past. So
yep.
I'm going to go with Gesicki in this week.
All right, Ryan, this is the thing you love to do. Tear down Gesicki.
I know, and a lot of what you said was good. Like, I'm sitting like, yeah, these are good points. I agree with most of this. When you kind of look at the analytics, for him being this 99th percentile athlete, he's 94th in target separation in the league for tight ends, which is something that's shown for fantasy points to be efficient. And like you mentioned, the Patriots are really good at covering the tight end position, and that's going to help. Listen, historically, they've done that. Tua, in his history in Alabama, if you look at their offense now, Miami, they're kind of trying to build it similar to that, where they have speed all over, they're spreading their guys out, have a bunch of different targets. The highest any of his tight ends ever had was 5th on the team in targets. And that was in 2019. That's when he had Irv Smith, who was obviously a beast in college. Last year, I think he had 14 targets for the tight end position, so he didn't really go there. Or his last year at
Alabama.
Not Miami. Will Fuller is out this week, which helps a little bit, but I think they're going to spread the ball around a lot. Like, you could see 6 to 8 targets for 4 guys on this team, and all the running backs are pass catchers as well. And it's just not a good matchup. Like, the whole thing of it together is just a lot of red flags for me this week.
Yeah, a lot of the volume could be spread out, like you said. He needs that volume to reach value, I think, and that volume could be spread out between all those guys you mentioned, the running backs, the receivers. So, you know how much I used to love Gesicki. I'm actually down on him this year, but I do see the points that Joey made, and I agree with some of those points too. I think what the wait and see. This offense is going to be a little bit different than it was last year. Last year, Tua struggled. We all assume he takes a step forward this year and see how he progresses. He's got his receiver from Alabama there, Waddle, now with him, so we'll see how that works out as well. The last guy is going to be tough for Ryan to tear down because I think we all love this guy. But you're higher than him on most, so give us your thoughts, Joey, on Mike Evans and what he can do tomorrow night.
I went with Mike Evans mainly. Well, the matchup's cake for him. I mean, Dallas Cowboys secondary is horrendous, so that alone, I mean, the fact that anybody says they're down on Mike Evans just makes me so sad. But I've heard so much slander on Mike Evans this offseason. Everybody's like, he's not going to have 1,000 yards this season. It's like, listen, last year he still eclipsed 1,000 yards with a grade 2 hamstring injury right around week 1, a grade 2 ankle sprain, still played every single game, and he set a career high in touchdowns. It's like,
yeah, where's the bad?
He was the number 4 targeted, number 4 receiver in the red zone. So obviously Tom Brady trusts him, and when Tom Brady trusts you in the red zone, ask Gronkowski, he's going to throw you the ball. He was 9th in the NFL for QB rating when targeted. He averaged 2.28 fantasy points per target, which was 8th in the NFL, and he did all of this with the hamstring and the ankle injuries. It's like he has 7 straight seasons of 1,000 yards. I mean, how can you be down on the guy?
Yeah.
It drives me. And then he's going against Dallas, so that's all you have to say is he's going against Dallas. So.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. They're like, he only caught touchdowns last year. Like, okay, that's all right. He still had 1,000 yards and he caught touchdowns. Isn't that a good thing? Like, why are we downplaying on that? They're all pointing to that one game where he had like two catches for 2 touchdowns and didn't have much else after that. But I mean, I'm okay with that. Catch touchdowns. That's
right. Hell yeah.
All right, Ryan. What could you possibly find here to tear down Mike Evans?
It's hard. Like, I don't know what you can say about him. Mike Evans is consistent as they can be. He's the other person to start his career with 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Obviously, the talent around him, there's a ton. Godwin, AB, Gronk could all get in on that. Scotty Miller, maybe throw it other places there. His only struggles really come when he's faced top-tier corners, which they don't have. So the hope is, only thing I can say bad about him this week is the Bucs score early, often not him, kind of play with the lead and run the ball, but he's going to be close to a top 12 play this week. Like, I really can't. Like, I love the idea. I love the segment and all this, but
it's hard to tear down Mike Evans. It is.
And I can't stand Mike Evans, man. I just can't do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think I think Mike Evans is going to have a huge game. It'd be hard for me to that'd be the route I would go to. They get up big, they run the ball, and they don't give Mike Evans as much. But I think if they get up big, it's because of Mike Evans, not he would still have a big game. So
I wanted to say AB is getting real hyped, and so is Godwin, but that'd just be full of shit.
Yeah.
And I can't make a point where I'm lying.
Yeah.
And the word is that Mike Evans had his best camp of his career this year. They said he's
they did give him. They give him the kiss of death on one of the notes I saw. They said he's in the best shape of his life. It always seems like when they say that,
everybody's in that though.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to me how much people have been so down on Mike Evans this year. It's like I got crap for taking him in the 5th round. I was like, are you kidding me? Mike Evans in the 5th round is like a smash for me. What's wrong with you?
Yep. Can't get more consistent than him. He's been great. All right, that wraps up Devil's Advocate. We have a few listener questions here to close us out. The first one here is a trade question. There's no, I'm sorry, it is there. There is some notes here. 1 QB PPR league. It's Robbie Anderson, and he said and Rojo or Fournette. So one of those 2 running backs for CEH. What side do you prefer that, Ryan?
Said both those running backs get CEH back. Like, who cares? Like, yeah, it's CEH. You get the best player in that.
What about you, Joey? What side you take?
100% agree. Yeah, CEH.
CEH side. Yeah, I agree. I'm all about combining, middle of the road players and getting a stud. I think CEH is going to be a stud, so I think I'm going CEH there as well. The next one is from AJ Smithington. He's got some issues with tight end. He says he's desperate at tight end. Would you take one of these guys? And he's got listed here Cole Kmet, CJ Uzama, Gerald Everett, or OJ Howard. Which one of those 4 guys do you prefer, Ryan?
Definitely not OJ Howard. I'm trying to squeeze in and look at this. I think Cole Kmet. It may not come into fruition this week with any Dalton in there, but I think once we see the changing at the guard of the quarterback, that tight end's going to be a little bit more involved. And Kmet is a hell of a target, size-speed combination for it.
All right. Yeah, what about you, Joey?
I think I'm going to go Gerald Everett. I mean, I really do think they're going to pass the ball a little more this year. And even Will Dissly, a couple of years back, he showed that even in that system, he was a productive tight end when he was healthy. So I think Gerald Everett's ability will actually show up a little bit in Seattle.
Yeah, I was kind of on the fence here. I think Cole Kmet would be the guy. Obviously, if this is dynasty, you're looking long term. But I think if you want an immediate return, I think it's Gerald Everett. He has the better quarterback right now, probably the better offense right now. He is an athletic tight end. And if you look at the Seahawks history, they've had, if you took just the tight end position and made it one person, they actually have a really good tight end position. They just have these guys coming in and out. If Gerald Everett is that guy this year, I think he can definitely be a tight end that kind of is a sleeper there. So I'm on the fence, but I think I'll lean Everett as well. All right, the next one we got here is from Jeff Hess. He says, please help. 12-man full PPR keeper league. He needs to drop one of these guys here. He's got McCole Hardman, Rondell Moore, Zach Moss. Which of those guys are you going to be dropping, Ryan?
I'm dropping Hardman because we know what Hardman is. We know who he is. Outside of Kelsey, Hill, and CH, that offense is a crapshoot, and Mahomes just throws to whoever's open. It's read those 2, whoever's open, whether it's him, DeMarcus Robinson, Byron Pringle. I feel more comfortable with Byron Pringle than McCole Hardman. He's going to have 2 games where he hits 2 balls for 70 yards and a touchdown, and that's his season. That's just who he is as a player.
Fair enough. What about you, Joey? You got McCole Hardman, Rondell Moore, Zach Moss. Who you dropping?
I actually agree with Ryan 100%. It's Hardman. What you got. I mean, they say with Sammy Watkins gone, it doesn't really matter. Sammy Watkins didn't really do anything last year, and Hardman still didn't show up. So I'd be more comfortable with Robinson or Pringle.
Yep, I agree. I think it is McCole Hardman, especially in a keeper league, because if Rondell Moore is that unicorn that everybody thinks he can be, I think obviously you have him, for years to come as a keeper. McCole Hardman has had his chance. He had his opportunities, and if he breaks out this year and you don't own him, so be it. You already had him for long enough, and he's had his opportunities. All right, next one is from Joseph Coventry. He wants to know if we had to choose one here, who is your top choice for Raiders wide receivers to have a breakout season? We got to choose one here, Ryan. Which one is it?
I have to.
That's tough.
I know. I want to say it's gonna be Ruggs, but it's not. It's gonna I want it to be so bad, but Derek Carr is very, very Derek Carr, and it's gonna be. I mean, he's not. They don't have the offensive line for him to go throw deep this year, and that's their big issue. It's probably going to be most targets going to probably be Hunter Renfrow.
Hunter Renfrow, okay. All right. He wasn't even on my radar. I forgot he was even there. I was thinking Bryan Edwards.
I think Bryan Edwards is really going to be the best guy. I think he leads the team in yards and touchdowns outside of Darren Waller. I don't think it's anything great fantasy-wise. I think that need a new quarterback for these guys to explode because both of them could.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'd probably go Bryan Edwards over all of them.
All right. What about you, Joey? Where are you at?
Bryan Edwards the same. Yeah, I just can't see them using Ruggs the way that. Honestly, they misuse him as he is anyway. They just keep running him deep every single time. They don't even allow him to run a route. It's just like go route, go route, go route, go route. It's like, and you're not going to throw him the ball. You know you're not going to throw him the ball.
Yeah,
it's
your
like,
quarterback isn't capable of it.
Yeah.
It's like, how about you actually let him run some routes and see what you get?
Yep.
Yep.
But nope, they're not going to do it.
It's jump ball city.
Yep. Have fun. Beat that guy if you can't, you're not getting it, and you probably won't anyway.
Yep, I think I'm with you. I think it's Bryan Edwards as well. I think if I had to play one this year and I needed the points, maybe it's Hunter Renfrow in a PPR league because I do think he'll get the volume.
It's to say, but that's there.
Yeah, that's Derek Carr's guy right there. And, you know, if I'm picking a breakout, it's Bryan Edwards. But I'm picking a guy like, okay, I'm going to need some production, you know, a sure thing, you know, a low ceiling, high floor. It'll be Hunter Renfrow. But for a breakout, yeah, I'll take Bryan Edwards. Last one here is another trade offer. So he's in the middle of a rebuild, and he drafted Pitts this past season. So he just got offered a 2022 first, a 2022 second, and Dallas Goedert for Pitts. Are you taking that offer, Ryan, or are you just going to ride this Pitts thing out and hope that he's what everybody thinks he is?
There's zero chance I take that offer. Like I always say, get the best player. That first, you have no idea where it's going to be. Next year's class is a little bit lacking compared to this. If you lock up if there's a 40% chance he turns into a Travis Kelce type tight end or even a Darren Waller type tight end, there's a 40% chance of that. I'm taking that. But it's higher than that. Like, this kid is all-world talent. He's in an offense that's going to throw 650 times this year. So you're going to get production now, and it's only going to improve. Like, I'm taking the chance with Pitts. Nothing there intrigues me that much.
All right. What are your thoughts, Joey?
Yeah, I'm taking Pitts too, mainly because sadly enough, I don't own any shares of Pitts. I am not drafted.
It's so sad.
He gets drafted so high that he either doesn't reach me or people are just jumping way too high on him. It's like I couldn't get him in a rookie draft, and I just can't bring myself to draft him that high in a startup. It's like,
and you can't trade for him.
He's so good. He's so good, and you can't trade for him because the value is too high. It's higher. Like we're saying no for a first and second and another like top 12 tight end, and we're saying no. So it's like the value is that high.
Yeah,
you legit could get 3 firsts for him.
You could.
Yep. I actually I have one share of him in my home dynasty league. I also have George Kittle in that league too, so I'm gonna have him and not even be able to start him probably because it'll be Kittle for a little while. But that's the one share I have of him, and I do think that he's going to be a huge player. You know, maybe not this year. Maybe he's okay this year, but in years to come, he's going to be a beast for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get to the last segment.
Get ready for GoingFor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, Joey, this is our first season Forgotten Fantasy Player. We did it all off season, of course, too, but you're the first one that's on the Week 1 podcast doing a Forgotten Fantasy Player, so you got to come strong here and set the tone for the rest of the season.
All right, I'm going wide receiver Derek Mason.
Ooh.
Derek Mason, he had 8 seasons of 70-plus receptions and 1,000 yards, and I think it was 7 of those seasons he had 5 touchdowns or more. So, and then his second season, if you have a league that covers return yards, he had 2,690 all-purpose yards. It was second all-time.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. He played for the Titans and the Ravens, right? If I'm remembering it correctly.
Ravens, yeah.
So right there is how you know you're an IDP guy when you're talking about those return yards.
That is so true.
I mean, that stat alone, that's huge. I mean, plus 1,000 career receiving yards and 66 touchdowns. It's like that's pretty darn good. You never hear anybody talk about Derek Mason.
That's true. Yeah, and I love Derek Mason. He actually helped me win a championship. I had him on a few of my teams way back then, and Mason was definitely one of those guys that, were just solid every year. They were never
And he
super
was
flashy.
literally half a yard short of winning the Titans the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that is true. All right. Awesome podcast. Awesome week 1 podcast. Let's go around the room really quick. Give us your Twitter handle if you want to plug anything. Joey, we'll go to you first.
You can find me on Twitter at JoeyTheToothIDP. You can find any of my written content at idpguys.org, off-season at Dynasty Vipers, and rumboys.net. And you can tune in every Saturday. Actually, we have the IDP Lounge, where 3 of us from IDP Guys bring on 3 guests, and we pretty much just chat. It's just trying to get to know everybody in the community and whatnot. And we talk IDP for like 10 minutes, and then just whatever else comes to mind. Like we talk about football. That's it, man.
Good
we
stuff.
just hang out for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. So come check us out every Saturday night.
All right, good stuff. Ryan, what you got going on?
Find me on Twitter at Foss534. Find me here every Wednesday. And then find me over at the Sports Illustrated Draft Bible on Wednesday mornings as well.
All right. Of course, guys, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. I wanted to plug one last time here. We got the belts. I'm going to bring it out again. The DFS contest, the Grinders Championship. It's a charity contest. It's free to get in, guys. It's free. Just go to goingfor2.com/grinder21. Sign up there. You'll get a link to the DraftKings contest. It's for week 1. There's no commitment. It's just, like I said, it's a free league. We ask you donate. You don't have to donate if you don't want to. But get in that league, guys. It's filling up. We got, I think, close to 100 people in there now. The league only holds 200, so get in there. Again, goingfor2.com/grinder21. For Joey, for Ryan, I am Jeff, and we will see you next week. Enjoy week 1.